Groceries in Canada have never been more expensive than they are right now, with prices between 2020 and 2024 rising by 23%. And with all the craziness going on in the US, at the same time, the Buy Canadian movement has been stronger than ever, meaning Canadian grocery stores right now are thriving and seeing record profits. But interestingly, only 3 grocery stores make up 70% of total grocery store market share: Metro, Sobeys, and Loblaws. And even though these grocers are seeing record profits, a pack of chicken breast still can cost up to $40. So my question is, what are we actually paying for? And that's why in today's video, we'll be visiting the top 3 grocers in Canada to figure out which one is the most expensive out of all of them. And to test this, I'm gonna be recreating the most iconic Sunset Grill breakfast, the Sunset Super, a Canadian diner classic that includes eggs, pancakes, home fries, sausages, and turkey bacon. If we can't find these ingredients, we're gonna swap them for something else and figure out what the price comes out to. We'll be ranking the 3 stores based on price, quality of produce, and of course, the availability of Canadian ingredients. So that means that we need to start things off here at Loblaws, our first location. So let's see what we can find. All right, and as we're walking in, first thing we notice is, of course, proudly Canadian, and look for this symbol to see if something is impacted by tariffs. So that's rule number 1. That's what we're keeping our eye out for. This is ranking higher on the leaderboard already. Look at all this. I'm liking this. This is great. See? Got the leaf. That's key. That's key. We might be in the right place. Better hope we're in the right place. A lot of Canadian signs here. First up's obviously eggs. That's the staple of the Sunset Super. Found the eggs. I don't see a single Canadian flag yet. So that's kind of concerning. Let's see what we got. Oh, they got it in the price tags. Okay. President's Choice eggs, $7.43 a carton. Says they're made in Canada. Okay, we're gonna compare here some prices quickly. We've got that. We've got Free Run Omega eggs from the KW region, $10.27. These eggs are fantastic. You get an extra row of eggs for an extra $3. And we've got our friends over here, Nature Egg. These guys have a lock on the market, Burn and Bray Farms, okay? Brayburn. These are $6.30. I don't want to do President's Choice. I feel like that's cheating. It's the blue menu. A lot of made in Canada. So we're gonna support local. We're gonna go with the Conestoga Farms eggs because these are high quality, farm fresh. We know where the farm is and a good price. You get an extra $3 for extra row of eggs. All right, we went for the eggs first because that's the hallmark of breakfast foods. So if we couldn't find good eggs here, good Canadian eggs, we knew we were in trouble. All right, now fruit is the hard part. Because when you go to Sunset Grill, they're gonna give you a fruit tray of like melons and berries and whatever, but none of that grows in Canada. So I thought maybe we get lucky and we find some peaches, but product of Chile. We also got some plums, product of Chile. So we're a little out of luck on the stone fruits. And we've got pomegranates, mangoes, kiwis, coconuts, a whole bunch of things. None of that grows here this time of year. So we're gonna have to get a little bit more creative. And by creative, I mean apples. Because even though it's the spring, Canada has an abundance of apples grown in the fall. I'm a big fan of Macintosh. These are big bags of Macintosh. We've got a ton of different apples. I think we're just gonna grab some individual Macs and put it in a cart and we'll call that our fruit that we would get at the restaurant. All right, we got $2.99 a pound here. Product of Canada. Doesn't tell me where. I'm gonna assume Ontario. Let's grab 3 of these. Why not? And these look pretty good, not gonna lie. Solid Macintosh apples. All right, now the Sunset Super lets you have a choice of waffles or pancakes. And I know there's a ton of different pancake pre-made mix companies here in Canada, but I want to check the original pancake makers, check the price, and then we're going to check out some of the newer options. Pretty much every pancake mix is actually made in Canada, I'm pretty sure. Cora's is not. This Cora's isn't. This Cora's is. And we've got Jakeman's, good old Canadian brand. Nice price, $5.99. Big made in Canada sticker. And then of course, we've got a new entrant to the category, Flourish, protein pancakes, based in Toronto. I don't know how they do it. One thing that I've learned about pancake mixes is that they pack in Canada, but manufacture in the US. I gotta look up if that's the case with Flourish. But these things are $12.50. They've got added protein versus your classic Jakeman's pancake mix, which is basically what you would find at Sunset Grill, not protein pancakes, is $5.99. All right, and now this is crazy because the President's Choice pre-made pancake mix is actually made in the US. So even though we had Canadian eggs from PC, what the heck is this doing here? So this is what we're gonna go for because we're replicating that breakfast, but Me personally, I'm probably by Flourish. And the best part is maple syrup. Now, this is a Canadian conspiracy, if you ask me, because what I've learned about maple syrup recently is that it is legally required that maple syrup manufacturers state where their maple syrup is actually coming from. And when you have a private label maple syrup like President's Choice, they actually mix their maple syrups from different farms, and then they don't tell you what farm it comes from. They just tell you the province in Canada. This is product of Quebec, but it doesn't say the specific place. So even though maple syrup's made in Canada, I'm not buying this because we actually don't know what this even is. It's like mixing wines. You would never mix wines from different places and then call it that's the wine. Like, it doesn't make any sense. All right, and the weird part about this maple syrup is that, for example, on that note, is that this says that it is sourced from 200 local farms. They're just taking all of them, mixing it all up, versus here we have a classic maple syrup producer made in Quebec. They have the stated farm that it's from. They have the lot number, the batch number, and they're telling you exactly what this is. This is our go-to. Thank you, Quebec, $13.99. All right, next up on our Sunset Super list is the bacon. We've got plenty of options here. We've got classic Canadian-styled Pemeal bacon, President's Choice. It has the flag on the price, so we got Canada made. Next up, we've got turkey bacon, Canada made, $8.49. This one is, brand is this? Oh, this one's the Butterball brand. And then we've also got healthier turkey bacon, which is these breakfast strips from here. And Canadian made $7.99. So we got a slight dollar price difference. Where's like the legit one? And on the Butterballs, we've got a few different options too. So this is your classic Applewood turkey bacon, price $8.49, stays the same. And then we've also got the OG original turkey bacon, 50% less fat. So we got 3 options that all cost the exact same, all Canadian made, not President's Choice. So I'm going less fat, less salt, turkey bacon, same price as the other 3, made in Canada, no problems here. This one was easy. Now, the craziest part about this is that why we're picking turkey bacon, there's no real bacon here. So that's where we're at. I don't know where the regular bacon is here at Loblaws, but it is what it is. Prices here, I don't know. You pick what you want for what flavor you're looking for. And then, of course, we still need some Canadian sausages, $9.49, pack of breakfast sausages, comes in the Sunset Super. This one's easy. I don't really see any other options, so this is your price, this is what you're gonna get. One of the last things we need is, of course, home fries. And look at that, nice and simple. Cavendish Farms, $3.49 for a bag, made in Canada, skin on diced hash browns, basically the home fries, and they come from New Brunswick. Look at that. Doesn't surprise me, it's like the potato capital of the world. What we do need to talk about though are the other options here. Pretty much all of the fries, potatoes that I'm seeing are Canadian made, except for this McCain bag of hash browns. This is US. But we also have McCain hash browns for breakfast, 2 for $10 special. Whatever reason, it's more expensive. And it's also home fries made in Canada. So you got different options here, but weirdly, there's one random item on shelf that isn't Canadian made. So far, it's a good mix, all from one company, but it is what it is. And then you got a whole bunch of other potatoes. So with that, let's go get the cash. All right, this was a sizable haul, made in Canada, and it's only $56. We're making money at this point. Here's the thing, we need to grade Loblaws before we go to the other places. So we have price, quality of the produce, and then how much of the stuff's actually like made in Canada. Price-wise, weirdly, this doesn't feel overly expensive to me. But then at the same time, I'm like, 56 bucks is when I was growing up as a kid was like a week's worth of groceries. So realistically, this is probably pretty pricey. But hey, 18 eggs for $10? I don't know, I'm feeling pretty good about that one. That's good find. Quality of the produce. When we looked at the mangoes, the kiwis, the apples, like, listen, it's not great. You're not getting like incredible stuff here. So I'm gonna give that one like 6.5 out of 10 if I'm being honest with you. And then as far as availability of made in Canada, everything we were looking for here had exactly what we wanted made in Canada. A lot of options going on, so I'm not gonna knock it. I'm gonna say 8.5 out of 10. Maybe that gets bumped up by the end of the video, but overall, solid experience. Price though, That's the big question. All right, next up, we're here at Sobeys, and I want to talk quickly about the two differences between Sobeys and Loblaws, because the prices need to make sense. Loblaws is obviously in a huge amount of trouble right now with Canadians, with a huge amount of people boycotting Loblaws for its high prices. And people are saying they're unjustified because between a mix of global inflation and supply chain issues, Loblaws has risen their prices across the board and then still posted record profits throughout the years. And it's kind of viewed as this like premium shopping option now, even though as we kind of witness, there's nothing really crazy about it. Sobeys, for whatever reason, is sort of known as this middle of the road option, but is also experiencing some backlash because people are shopping there now in protest of Loblaws and realizing prices might be pretty much exactly the same, even though Sobeys offers a lot more regional variety, or it's at least known to, than Loblaws does, because they're based from out east in Eastern Canada. They were founded on the East Coast and then have basically gradually made their way west. So we're basically going to figure out if that mystery still holds on, if there's actually a price difference, and what this availability of Canadian actually looks like. Carts aren't good. Bad sign number one. We're going to use a buggy or a basket. There we go. Ooh. This feels more pristine already. Kiwis, product of Greece, not Canada. I'm kidding. We're not here to rank kiwis. All right, so stop number one is obviously the apples. So we've got a huge selection of apples here. It's all grown in Canada, so I don't think we're really going to have a problem. The quality, however, of the produce, I'm a little skeptical of. Ooh, look at this apple. So that's not great. All right, so we got 3 apples at Loblaws. We're getting 3 apples here. These aren't the greatest. I might be making applesauce with these, to be honest, guys. Okay, so they separated Sobeys' bacon with the actual bacon. They have the same maple leaf breakfast sausages that we got at Loblaws. $8.99. We gotta price check that, and something's telling me it's slightly cheaper. But let's worry about sausages in just a second. We gotta figure out this bacon situation. So we definitely have more bacon options here. We actually have regular bacon. We've got thick cut bacon, $7.50, $7, $6.50 actually, sorry, $6.50 for real bacon. We're looking slightly cheaper here on the bacon side of things. The turkey bacon's $8 on the turkey bacon we bought at Loblaws, so that's 50 cents cheaper. So we got a slight little savings here right now. Pemeal bacon's only $7. That's $4.50 package, so that's pretty cool. All right, go Sobeys. We're moving. That was 9 something at Loblaws. I'm gonna keep it the same. We're gonna get the same bacon, $8 turkey. That's the move. And then we're gonna grab the sausages. All I see are pork sausages. Seems to be if you want breakfast sausages, you only get one thing here. I think if we do a grocery store ranking again, we have to have a vibe check, because Loblaws, I just felt like it's more of like a market feel. Like this is like dark, there's no music. And like, if I have to pay a premium for a better vibe, like maybe I will, because like right now I'm like, I'm not doing this again. But I will say, like, aesthetically it's nicer. So I'm kind of torn, because like it just feels, it just has a different energy to it, but like the look and feel, good job Sobeys. Now we find ourselves in the bread aisle. And crazily enough, we got maple syrup in the bread aisle. So this is obviously gonna be our next stop. Now, I've never bought maple syrup here at Sobeys. And honestly, like it looks like slim pickings compared to Loblaws. A lot more mass-produced brands, it looks like. Not giving me the original farm fresh, local maple syrup option here. So let's see what we got. A lot of made in Canada stickers, obviously. Like I think 70% of the world's maple syrup comes from Canada. Shout out. And see, produced and packaged. Okay, so good find. First pickup, Wagler Maple Products. But we got the compliments bottles here too. This is their version of the President's Choice. Same game, mass produced, mix it all together. But pretty much most of the options are mass produced. As I'm looking through, we have similar brand to Loblaws, Maple Joe, but these comes in bottles. So that's a local Quebec producer. We've got Camp, which is also in a weird bottle, Dutchman's Gold, and then Wagler. So to compare bills, we're gonna go with Wagler, because I'm most certain it's comparable to what we got at Loblaws, but I wanna make sure that I can get it in the same size, which was 375 ml. This one's 1150. Toss that in the cart. All right, and at the same time we're here at the maple syrup, we gotta get the pancake mix. Now, there's a couple things easily stand out to me. We've got Flourish Pancakes, which was like $12.50 at Loblaws. Here, we're talking $12 before a sale that's now at $10. So if you're into Flourish, looking at those innovative Canadian protein pancake companies, you can get it cheaper at Sobeys. Other things though, is that we've got a pancake and waffle mix here from a Alberta company with Alberta domestic ingredients, $5.50, made in Canada. I think we're probably gonna go with that one because the cheapest one here is $4.50 and it's pearl milling. And this has domestic and imported ingredients indicated on the box, even though it says it's made in Canada. So it's a straight lie. And this is why people are mad about this made in Canada distinction, because it's a certain percentage of it, not all of it. So we're gonna roll with the original Coyote pancake mix, $5.50, Alberta company. We're gonna put it in the cart. Look at that. And there are our eggs right beside Gordon Ramsay. We went with the box of 18 of Conestoga in Loblaws. We've got a lot of Canadian eggs here as well. These ones are $10.30, which is roughly the same price. All right, so we're rolling with the 18 pack, but it is worth noting that I believe these are about $1 cheaper on the 12 packs than what we were able to get at Loblaws. These are like $6 for Canadian eggs. And of course, one of the last things on the list is our home fries. So we got the McCain's home fries we saw at Loblaws for $6. But interestingly enough, there's a ton of made in Canada options here. And the private label company, which is again, Compliments, has a $3.99 price tag on it. Doesn't say it's made in Canada. So it's cheaper and you get more of it. But to keep things consistent, we're gonna roll with the home fries and see what the price comes out to. It was a huge success if you ask me. The bill came out to $51, which Loblaws was about $56. So I'm gonna say there's a 10% cost savings between these two grocery trips, and we even got a bigger bag of pancake mix. Where did we see the biggest cost savings? The eggs, for sure. There's some more there. And then a couple dollars here and there. So Loblaws definitely has a premium on it, especially when we're buying such simple foods like this. You save 10%. That's huge if you start shopping for your weekly groceries and your family trips. But that's the price ranking. As far as quality of produce, personally, as somebody that has shopped at Sobeys, I'm gonna say like the fresh foods have never been the biggest draw for me to be here. Obviously you saw with that apple as an example, as one example on the shelf. So I'm gonna say it's not really the greatest as far as like that kind of stuff goes. And then as far as the availability of made in Canadian goes, I'm gonna say Loblaws is doing a much better job of being very in your face with what's actually made in Canada. The amount of signs in Loblaws for supporting local is bizarre, especially pointing it out. While Sobeys does have that, you really do have to look. It's not as clear. So I'm gonna say Sobeys comes out on top because in my perspective, price is what matters most in this case, especially given that we can find the Canadian ingredients, and we're gonna check out Metro to get our definitive rankings still. We're here, the last stop. Now we've been to 3 different Metros before this one, not caught on camera because the first Metro we went to had cops outside. So we were like, we're not doing that. And the parking lot was insane. The second Metro, also insane. And now Metro number 3, also insane. And the only thing that I can think of is that Metro, in contrast to Sobeys and Loblaws, is a Quebec French grocery chain. Very French, very Canadian. Obviously not French in Ontario, but it is what it is. They're just very Canadian. So this grocery store is not necessarily known for being cheap either, but it is known for being the most Canadian of the Canadian grocery stores. And that is why we're here, because we're gonna figure out if it actually holds to the stereotype. All right, so the carts also don't work here. My luck with carts today. They also have signs here too, guys. Check it out. Whoop. See? Support Canada. All right, I'm feeling good about this. We got the sign in the front. We got the Ontario Apple signs next. Whole bunch of different options. Where for the Macintoshes, let's check the price. $2.49. Now we're talking. Same price as Sobeys. Let's take a look at the quality going on here. Loblaws has the quality, I'm telling you. No wonder it's so expensive compared to Sobeys. Bruised, not looking too hot. That's an apple. Overall observation, if I'm being honest, this looks way better than Sobeys. I don't care what anybody tells me. It might be slightly worse than Loblaws, but these apples are vibrant in color, they look fresh, and they're from Ontario. I don't know, Sobeys vibe wasn't there for me. This one, it feels lively. Like we've got energy here. There's a lot more people. Rumor has it that more Canadians are shopping at Metro because it's a Canadian grocer, like the other ones, but just more Canadian. And honestly, from how busy these have all been, I have to believe it's true, but that's an anecdote. Look at all this bacon. We got so much bacon here. Okay, and we got the Canadian flags going, so that's also a positive. So they're pointing it out. We know what we're after, $7. The bacon that we bought at Loblaws is $8 here. We're gonna buy it, but it is worth pointing out that we have better bacon prices and a huge bacon selection of Canadian bacon across the entire category. So that's a plus. I think Metro wins on bacon. All right, and now, of course, we're back in the syrup aisle. Crazy enough, we don't have any of the same syrups that we had at Loblaws or Sobeys. Their private label is Selection, so we obviously still have that same process, mixtures, etc. But we have different options for the Canadian brands. So we've got Shady Maple Farms, $13.99 for a 375 ml. Remember, that's the size we need to stay consistent with. More expensive. Even though it says it's a lower price, we've got Ontario syrup that's $18.99 for a bottle of 250 ml. This is looking original though. We've got the plastic bottles, which we're not using. And then we've got massive bottles of maple syrup here. Oh no, this one's 375 and 100% pure, rich taste, grade A Canadian at $13. So still more expensive. And it's not giving me, but it's not giving me a clear vibe of where it's from or what it is. So also potentially mass produced. So we're not looking great on the Canadian syrup though. So we might have to go with the premium syrup, because this is the only thing that's actually legit, because we're not comparing private label brands. So here it is. We're going with like $4 more on maple syrup here. Thank God the pancakes are right beside the maple syrup. Nice and handy. We've got Flourish here, normally priced at $13.50, so it's $1 more at Metro. Crazy when you think about it. We've got Bob's Red Mill. We've got the classic. And we've got the classic pearl milling, also $5, $4.50 at Sobeys, which we're not getting because it's a mixture of imported ingredients. And then their private label is $3.50, imported from the USA. Metro importing their private label. Crazy. So we might have to get Flourish. This is expensive, Metro. Metro's not coming out on top. I think I can already tell you who's losing this one. Eggs, however. Do they have Conestoga Farms? We've also got Burnbrae. 18 pack, $8. Cheaper than Conestoga in Loblaws. And it's technically like a more mass-produced option. 18 pack, $2 cheaper on the eggs. So that'll help offset the cost of the pancakes. And last on the list, home fries. All right, now it's worth pointing out that pretty much everything here is on sale. It is Canadian, however, and I'm trying to find the same hash brown options, and I don't see them. They have quick fry down here, Selection, and then McCain. So McCain hash browns, a proud Canadian company, it says on the bag. They do not have an indicator of where it's from. And then on the bag, prepared for McCain Foods. Okay, but where is it shipped from? That's the question. Product of USA. Liars.
They're saying they're proudly Canadian company.
Proudly Canadian company with American potatoes. Get out of here. So that means we have to go with the savory home fries, because I don't see an option for the other ones. And these are $5.50. Or we go with made in Canada, prepared for Metro in Montreal. You get 1,000 grams of home fries, $5.50, versus the savory McCain home fries, 650 grams, same price, and you get more. So we're going with private label Selection on this one, given more bang for your buck, made in Canada, and I guess Metro got this one right. Now, the one crazy part is that I don't think we actually have the sausages that we need here. We only have hot dogs. Without sausages, we're gonna have to assume that if we were in a restaurant, we would ask for double bacon to make sure that we can replace what we're looking for, because they don't have them here and I don't really feel like buying hot dogs to do that. All right, and that's gonna wrap up Metro, $58.62. And that's of course assuming with the fact that we got the double bacon. The most expensive store we went to, which I am shocked by, because Canadians think it's Loblaws, but that's because they didn't have Canadian made pancakes. The margin smoked us on the pancakes. If they actually had an appropriate pancake option that was price comparable, we'd be probably in line with Sobeys. So that's worth noting. All right, and so that's gonna wrap up today's video. if we take into consideration the Metro pancake disaster, where we're paying so much for Flourish pancakes, even though they're still very good, but given what we're doing, I'm going to rank price as follows. Loblaws, most expensive, undisputable. 2 is going to be Metro, because while the pancakes tipped us over the edge, there were still noticeable price increases across much of the more staple items that we didn't really experience at Sobeys, making Sobeys the most affordable of the 3. And when you take into consideration there's a 10% price difference between Sobeys and Loblaws, if you're doing full grocery trips, that's a lot. 2 is the sort of good look of the produce, follows the same order. Loblaws, Metro, Sobeys, pretty obvious. And then finally, it's going to be the availability of Canadian. We're going Loblaws, Sobeys, Metro. That's based on experience, markers, signs, and what it all looks like. That's kind of what the overall sentiment is of this ranking system. Now, obviously, this isn't a fully comprehensive ranking system. We need to do a lot more tests. We need to go visit a ton more grocery stores, and we need to revisit how we're actually ranking these things. So if this is something that you want to see more of, comment down below. Let me know how you enjoyed today's video and if you found it useful, and how you think we should start testing and ranking different typical staple Canadian foods to figure out what grocery stores are actually making sense and who's lying to us on the affordability basis in Canada. So with that, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.